Hey y'all, this is Lauren from One Nana Two Girls, and today we are bringing you Flosstube number 7, I believe, and this is a bow tutorial. So I wanted to show you how to make a beautiful small bow for these ornaments, or any ornament or any project that you need a small bow for. And this bow can also be extended to a larger bow for a larger project. So, going through our supplies here, you'll need some straight pins, actually just one. You'll need a needle with coordinating thread, and I actually use a small needle. If that's going to focus there. I use a small, sharp, it's actually a quilting needle. You just want it to have a pretty sharp end. The cross stitch needles that are like size 24 are probably too blunt at the end, so just make sure it has a really sharp tip. And then you'll need some ribbon that coordinates with your project. And for this project, I'm actually using the matching grosgrain ribbon, and this is from Hobby Lobby, item 1924679, and this is the wine grosgrain ribbon in the 3/8 inch. This makes great bows. I use this a lot for bow making. And if you do need a thimble, you can grab one of those. You'll need your project, of course, and a handy pair of scissors. I really like these Fiskars scissors, and they have a really sharp tip on them. And you can buy these at Joann's. So this is just my other little project here. He needs a bow too, so he's going to stand here and wait for his bow as well. So to start off, you'll need your ribbon. Now for this particular project, he requires about 11.5 to 12 inches of the ribbon. So I'm going to go ahead and cut my 12 inches of ribbon. And if you need to snip off a little on either end at the end, that's fine too. So I'm allowing for 12 inches of the grosgrain ribbon. So we'll just measure out here. I love these OmniGrid mats as well, the rotary mats. Quick and easy measuring. So here's your 5, your 10, and your 12 inches. And you just snip your ribbon there. And for the right side of the bow is what I'm going to start with first. So you will take your ribbon right side up, and you'll actually bend the right side and go underneath your ribbon. So you'll take the right side and go straight underneath your ribbon like that. And the loop is fairly small for this project. And then you'll take the left side of your ribbon and you will go in front of all of those other pieces of ribbon. So again, you have this loop, and you'll take this side and you'll cross right over top of all of your ribbons. So this side is going behind and the left side is going in front. So you can hold in your hand and adjust your loops by holding onto the middle fairly snug, but not too snug. So you want your loops to be, and this is where I pin. So take your straight pin and you'll want to pin down through the ribbon and come right back up. Just to hold on to your small bow. Ribbon is sometimes slippery and hard to hold on to if you're using a satin ribbon. And then you grab your project, and I always just lay my bow on top of my project to see if I like the size of the loops for the bow. And I do. I really like the size of the loops for this bow. So you have your pinned ribbon here, and you have your threaded needle. And I tie a knot at the end. Let's see if I can show that to you. I tie a knot, and I snip the threads off really close to the end so that you don't have much of a tail. And I leave this pin in my ribbon, and I take my threaded needle and I'll flip it over, and I start by going from the back to the front, and I get down here as close as I can, so I make sure that I'm grabbing both of the pieces of ribbon down here in the little V, upside down V. And I'm coming up with my thread, and then I'm taking a very small stitch. I'm putting my needle very close, about that far away from my other ribbon. That's about 2 millimeters. And pulling my ribbon back down through. Sometimes it might get caught on your pin, and you just uncatch it. Take it off of there. And then again, I'm coming back up through from the back to the top. Again, about 2 millimeters. See, I caught my pin there. So just unstick it. And then going back down through from the top to the back. See, it wanted to catch there again on that pin. And I give a little tug on the threads. And then this last stitch, I've made it to the top. So I'm going to pull my straight pin out because I have the rest of it all secure. If you can see those teeny tiny little stitches. And for this last stitch, just like at the bottom, I'm making sure my thread is very close to the V of where the pieces of ribbon crisscross each other. And I'm coming back up through there and give my thread a little tug, straighten out my thread. And so I have just a few stitches through there, you can see. And then for this small ribbon, sometimes it's hard to pleat up, but I hang on to my thread in this hand, and I use my thumb and forefinger to push the ribbons together, and I use this thumb and forefinger to kind of push from this side. So I'm pushing those little pieces of ribbon together and making them pleated here in the middle. Now, here's the good part. Take this thread, since it's at the top, and we're actually wrapping around the center of the bow. And once I have it on the back, I will hold the bow in this hand and I'll pull my thread and give a gentle tug so that the middle of my bow has these nice tight wrapped pieces of the sewing thread around the middle. And I do recommend sewing thread. I don't know if I called it sewing thread, but I do not use the DMC floss. I have never used it. I'm not sure if it would work in the same method or not, but I do use sewing thread. And I would wrap the thread around 5 times. Okay, now you have your thread here at the bottom. Grab your needle up and hang on to this side of the bow. And I'm actually going to turn it over, so hang on to this side of the bow. And that's staying very tight. So I'm not pulling on it anymore. And I'm taking my needle through the back part of the ribbon. I'm making sure that I'm not going through to the front of the ribbon. So I'm taking a small pieces of the ribbon all the way to the top, and I'm pulling that, and that tacks your thread there. So I pulled that all the way up through, and I'm going to do that one more time. And I'm just taking small little pieces, And I'm making sure that when I'm coming up to the top, I'm not coming too close to the front of the bow. I'm still back here on the back of the bow. And I'm pulling the thread up through there. Now, I'm going to tie off my thread by doing the stitch going from right to left because I'm right-handed. If you're left-handed, you may be coming from left to right. But I will be taking a sideways stitch under these threads and making sure that I grab part of the ribbon. And taking a small stitch. Now I'm not pulling this one all the way through. Can you see my little loop there of thread? And I'm taking my needle through the loop and I'm pulling that tight. Now I'm doing that one more time. I'm not going to pull my thread through the loop. I'm only doing this to secure my threads underneath. So I'm taking another sideways stitch, pulling my threads to secure underneath, snipping my threads close to where I just pulled through, and be careful not to cut your ribbon. Snip that off, and you have a beautiful finished bow. Now, I'm taking my project back here, and I'm going to place it here in the center, and I'll take my straight pin again, just to hold him in place, just to hold the bow up there. And I'm going to take a look. See my tail? This side's much longer than this side, and I am simply going to eyeball where I have him, right about there. Snip it off, and you have your finished bow. Now, I'm not going to attach the bow to this Santa here in this tutorial because he still needs his cording. That's in the last tutorial, putting the cording on. So this is a finished bow, perfect size, and this will get glued on after the cording is glued on. So we'll go ahead and glue that on. But I hope you enjoyed this bow tutorial. If you have any questions, please let me know. And again, you can do this with any size. Grosgrain ribbon is what I prefer best. And you can use up to about 7/8, or some ribbons come in 1 inch ribbon. And I have made satin bows, but I do like the way the grosgrain holds its shape. So don't be afraid to try out different ribbons and different textures of ribbons. Sheer ribbon also works great. Just make sure you have your coordinating thread and you'll have a successful, beautiful bow for your project. Thanks for joining us, and we hope you have a wonderful, happy Thanksgiving and enjoy your stitching time. Bye.